Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, my dear Prabhus, dear Matajis, good morning. Thank you for joining our morning Japa session. Please continue to finish your rounds and read your Prabhupada books every day. And first, I would like to welcome to our Monk in the Middle podcast, Chandrika Radha Mataji, Hare Krishna, Moksha Lakshmi Mataji, Hare Krishna, Nikita Mataji, Hare Krishna, Bhaktin Veronica, Nika, Hare Krishna, Oliver Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Paolo Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Bhaktin Chantal Mataji, Hare Krishna, Bhaktin Jonah, Hare Krishna, Bhaktin Riza, Hare Krishna, yeah, iPhone. I couldn't read Chinese character though. Hare Krishna, Rodel Prabhu, Hare Krishna, and of course my dear God brother Navadip Chandra Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Good morning. So you know the drill. Before we enter the realm of the study in our Srimad Bhagavatam, we should be in the proper mood, in the mood of request, in the mood of humility. So join me as we recite the invocation mantras. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Shaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamas Loke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. I offer my obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudev. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the Personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Yes, Hare Krishna. Such a wonderful morning. And of course, we discussed this past few days how um, Pariksit Maharaj is being prepared in a perfect arrangement. Later, we will discuss why, how to know it is actually a perfect arrangement. And we have learned how Sutta Goswami also glorified Shri Krishna, the power of chanting the holy name. And we discuss how it is really important, even a person who is born in a low birth or inferior social class, or not born in the Brahminical family, because the caste system that we have now, the Hindu caste system, is just made more than 100 years, and it is not actually based on the Vedic system, which is the real Varna Ashram Dharma. So the misconception of this is actually one is just put into position based on their birth. But the most important lesson that the Srimad Bhagavatam also is teaching us that it is just by quality. It is by quality that one could be in a position of a Brahminical order, not just by birth. And by that, the Vedic seal system is um, removing the misconception of this so-called caste system of the Hindu practice. It is just like plainly discrimination. So let's continue to relish the stories of the Srimad Bhagavatam. First canto, creation. We are at the chapter 18 entitled Pariksit Curse by a Brahmana Boy. So, first few verses was just a preparation, introduction. And now we will start to read what will happen in this that correlates with the title. Text number 24 to 25. Once upon a time, Maharaj Pariksit, while engaged in hunting in the forest with bows and arrows, became extremely fatigued, hungry, and thirsty while following the stags. While searching for a reservoir of water, he entered the hermitage of the well-known Samika Rishi and saw the sage sitting silently with closed eyes. So a Kshatriya is allowed to hunt. This is not for pleasure of just sports or pleasure for them to eat this lower species. They are allowed because they are controlling the um, animal population. That's not one reason. At the same time, they're Kshatriyas. They have to regularly, not actually every day, but they have to practice their bowmanship. At the same time, he's going here and there, all his the places that he is ruling. So we have to check them all. But by Krishna's perfect arrangement, it is actually Krishna's desire to create a situation. He made Maharaj Pariksit fatigued, thirsty, and hungry. Actually, in the perfect timing, let's read Sri Prabhupada's first sentence here in the purport. The Supreme Lord is so kind to his pure devotees that in proper time he calls such devotees up to him and thus creates an auspicious circumstances for the devotee. So just like a devotee's passing away is always Krishna's arrangement. Krishna calls them already. And sometimes the devotees, or most of the time, will be put into a situation where he might look like in a bad situation, but there's an arrangement of Krishna there. In the Bhagavad Gita, what happened was Krishna was in illusion. Arjuna was in illusion for him to talk to Krishna. Arjuna forgot his intelligence, so he will surrender and remove the friendly relationship to Krishna and surrender himself. As a soul surrendered to you, I am your disciple. Please instruct me. That's what Arjuna asked Krishna. It was Krishna's arrangement. And now, Krishna is doing this again. A perfect arrangement. He made Pariksit Maharaj hungry, thirsty, fatigue for a situation for this Srimad Bhagavatam to take birth. Krishna arranged this for Arjuna for the Srimad Bhagavad Gita to be spoken. And this one is being arranged for Maharaj Pariksit, just to create a situation favorable for his renunciation of the worldly activities. This is Krishna's desire. According to Prabhupada, one has to give up all attachment for worldly relations before one is able to go back to Godhead. And thus, when a devotee is too much absorbed in worldly affairs, the Lord creates a situation to cause indifference. And this is Krishna's assurance. The Supreme Lord never forgets his pure devotee, even though he may be engaged in so-called worldly affairs. So this is an arrangement of Krishna for Maharaj Pariksit, for him to be able to uh, be prepared for what will happen next. And of course, yeah, it's very. I was really surprised here. The prelude for this verse is "Once Upon a Time," very classic. Text number 26. The Muni's sense organs, breath, mind, and intelligence were all restrained from material activities, and he was situated in a trance apart from the three: wakefulness, dream, and unconsciousness, having achieved a transcendental position qualitative equal with the absolute truth, with the supreme absolute rather. So this Muni, Shamika Samika Rishi, is actually in meditation. So Maharaj Pariksit have to enter a house, a famous rishi, a famous saintly person. The only thing is, this saintly person, Samika Rishi, is meditating in a trance. And in the verse, it was mentioned his senses, breath, mind, and intelligence are restrained. He's there, but he's not actually there. He's in the deep samadhi. So yeah, it was mentioned yogic trance. And these three wakefulness, dream, and unconsciousness is not there. He's not asleep. He's not awake as well, and he's not dreaming. He's in samadhi. The transcendental position is attained by three processes, namely the process of Gyan, Bhakti, and Yoga. So we talked about that before, especially in our course. And here, Gyan was also emphasized. This is theoretical knowledge of transcendence. So like Jnana Yoga, using of knowledge, Gyan or Gyani is just worldly intelligence. When you use Jnana Yoga, you have intelligence with the Vedas and how to use it, and also how one is practicing it by himself. At the same time, practicing it, connecting it to Krishna. But when one put it into action and with love and devotion, that is Bhakti Yoga. The Jnana process theoretically speculates about the reality of the soul. So they don't have experience. And that's why the Bhagavad Gita Bhakti Yoga is the king of all knowledge. And because it gives perception to the self by realization, it is also the perfect religion. That is Bhakti Yoga. Raja Vija, that is the Raja Vija verse in Bhagavad Gita. The Jnana process theoretically speculates about the reality of the soul, but Bhakti Yoga factually engages the spirit soul in activities. So that's the big difference, and that is why it is the topmost of the yoga system, the Bhakti Yoga. But of course, this was in the transition, and also the rishis, they are also doing the meditation part. There was also an emphasis of Sri Prabhupada in the last sentence in the paragraph in the purport, restraining the senses, regulating the breath system, practice of meditation, this yoga system, and applying of the intelligence to rise to the transcendental position. This trance stops all material activities of the body. The king saw the Muni in that position. So when Maharaj Pariksit entered the house of Samika Rishi is in that position. So he was not um, hosted or accepted accordingly. Even he was the king. He Rasamika Rishi is in trance. Suppose previously we talked about how to really accept how to host a guest from Krishna entering leaving Hastinapur, entering Dwarka. We talk about how to receive a guest, right? But this time, Samika Rishi failed to do so. Failed to receive the Emperor Pariksit. Text number 27. The sage in meditation was covered by the skin of a stag, and long compressed hair was scattered all over him. The king, whose palate was dry from thirst, asked him for water. So this is a description of the rishi, the sage. He is wearing the skin of a stag. This is not just for fashion, wearing fur. And they are not vegans because they're wearing animal skin. They're doing this because it will prevent the other lower species, the insects and such animals, insects alike, for them to be disturbed by this lower species by wearing that. And most of the yogis who meditates, they have deer skin or sometimes tiger skin, kusha grass, so the snake will not disturb them while they're in meditation. So Samik Rishi is wearing the skin of a stag, and the he's also like wearing a crown. The crown of a king is the golden metal and all jewelries, gems. But the crown of a sage is the stag. Sorry, is um, the locks of hair. So long matted dreadlocks, and it's all actually scattered all over. Really long, really long. There is also a practice in the some other sampradayas. If they was initiated into their like the Naga Babas, into that kind of line, the devotees will pluck their hair, and from after that they will never cut their hair anymore. So that's why it will be matted after a few years, dreadlocks. The king, being thirsty, asked the sage for water. So this is the arrangement of Krishna because he's the emperor. There's a lot of arrangement. There's servants. He could just have some water, and he could even easily tolerate the urge of the thirst, the hunger, the fatigue. But Krishna is arranging something really important arrangement, and for King Pariksit to meet Shamika Rishi is a perfect arrangement for Krishna. This is very, what we call, providential. Otherwise, there's no chance for this unique opportunity for them to meet. So, just like in our lives, sometimes, most of the time, if something is good, something good happening to us, we always think that, oh, it's Krishna's arrangement. We're just talking about this a while ago. Then now it's happening. Then now when you read the book, okay, this was my question a while ago. We often thought of Krishna when good things are happening, but also when bad things are happening, the so-called bad things are happening or bad situation, it is also Krishna's arrangement because there are lessons, realizations that could be extracted afterwards. It depends on how our consciousness is really focused on Krishna. A devotee, even different situation, indifference are there, or in a bad situation, he always thinks that it's Krishna's arrangement. And a devotee always makes sure that he should extract, squeeze the nectar of that situation and have a meaningful realization. Navadip Chandra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. A pleasant Wednesday morning. It's a rainy morning to everyone. So, yeah. So, yeah, Maharaj Pariksit is now entering into the, actually already entered in a sage hermitage. But anyway, we'll read first the text 28. The king, not received by any formal welcome by means of being offered a seat, place, water, and sweet address, considered himself neglected, and so thinking, he became angry. So as we can see from here, um, yes, the king should be treated as a king. Um, and here in the purport of Prabhupada, it is said that in terms of Vedic how to say Vedic culture, in a Vedic culture, it's very strict the law of reception. It says here, the law of reception in the codes of the Vedic principles states that even if enemy is received at home, he must be received with all respects. He should not be given a chance to understand that he has come into the house of an enemy. When Lord Krishna, accompanied by Arjuna and Bhima, approached Jarasandha in the Magadha, and the respectable enemies were given a royal reception by King Jarasandha. The guest enemy, namely Bhima, was to fight with Jarasandha, and yet they were given a grand reception. At night, they used to sit down together as friends and guests, and in that in that day, they used to fight, risking its life and death. That was the law of reception. The reception law enjoins that a poor man who has nothing to offer his guest should be good enough to offer straw mat for sitting, a glass of water for drinking, and some sweet words. Therefore, to receive a guest, either friend or foe, there is no expense. It is only a question of a good manners. Yes, and somehow we saw that some Samika Rishi has failed to do so. Like it's the king hungry, hungry and thirsty, entered entered in the sage hermitage, and he saw the the sage sitting with matted hair and all, meditating, silent, practically not breathing, in deep meditation and samadhi. Then actually, the sage is experiencing oneness with Krishna or with the Supreme. So Maharaj Pariksit wandered in the hermitage or the kutir or the hut of the sage and said, my dear sir, or my dear sage, I'm so thirsty. I've been wandering around and then can you please give me some water? But anyway, the sage is wrapped in meditation, did not notice that the king was arrived. And as we know, the king, when the king has arrived, he has a power. He has some power. There's some potency. He has his own charm. He has his own charisma. You must feel that some how to say high personality came into your place. So he's worthy of the good reception or even it says Prabhupada said even the poor man just can provide a straw mat, uh, a water, or a sweet words. Actually, there's some incident happened that uh, one sannyasi here, one sannyasi came to a house. We have a harinam, and then we after that harinam we visit one devotee place, and then that family is very how to say it, very well known on such receiving guests. Uh, Most of the devotee they want to go there because that family is very the topmost or the best kinds of receiving guests with all the things needed especially the food. But there are it happened that the family they received the guest the devotees including the sannyasi, and then um they become busy on cooking and all. After they receive, they run to the kitchen and doing their things, and then practically the devotees and the maharaj is just we don't know what to do inside the living room. So anyway, we came from Harinam and then all are thirsty. What I mean is it didn't fail, but they forgot the proper reception and all, and then gently the sannyasi uh, called the family and then said, I mean, teach in a nice way that should at least one member of the family will how to say it, accompanied or entertain or how to say it, yeah, entertain the guests and at least give a place to sit, and then how to say it, place to sit, a sweet words or a water, especially water, because everyone is as thirsty at that time after that harinam. So that's the thing. It actually when it comes to your house to our house, it's not a question of a friend or a enemy. Anyone to come to our house is a worthy of our protection. Oh, how kind you are. You come to my house to bless my house and all. So yeah, it's just a matter of a good manners. If we cannot provide anything, at least those three basic things is a place to sit, a sweet words, and a drink. But here, yeah, and then the king is somehow become angry because he did not. Of course, it says here from Prabhupada's purport, he didn't expect a royal reception by the rishi because he knew that the saint and rishis are not materially rich men. But he never expected that the seed straw and a glass of water and sweet words would be denied to him. So he was not an ordinary guest. He was he is not an enemy also, and therefore he could uh, there therefore the cold reception by the rishi astonished the king greatly. As a matter of fact, the king was the right to get angry with the rishi when he needed a glass of water. To become to become angry in such a grave situation was not unnatural for the king, because the king himself was not less than a great saint. His becoming angry and taking action was astonishing. So, and then of course, all of these are the arrangement of Krishna. for yeah, just like Radhacharyan Prabhu is saying that uh, because it's arranged by Krishna for for Maharaj Pariksit for us to have this to for the Bhagavatam to be to be spoken by Sutta Goswami, Sukadev Goswami to Maharaj Pariksit. And what I mean to say here, from the purport again of Prabhupada, the devotees of the Lord are always under the protection of the Lord. And in any condition, frustration, or success, the Lord is the supreme guide for the devotees. The pure devotees, therefore, accept all conditions of frustration as blessings from the Lord. So it's an arrangement, whether it's a positive or negative. We just uh, try to analyze. Yes, I'm happy. The Lord give me a blessing. Yes, I'm frustrated. I'm angry. I'm confused. Uh, why is this unfortunate thing happen to me? What is the message behind that? What is the message of the Lord? What is the lesson behind this? Why is this happening to me? So that's the right mood in everything positive, negative, what is everything was happening to us. Because yeah, it may be how to say it, it may be yes approval by the Lord, because as always we know from the Bhagavad Gita that even a single blade of grass will not move without the sanction of Krishna. Maybe it's our how to say it, our purification, and that person is the agent of our karma. As always, we are trying to learn and meditate on those kinds of things for us not to be just sad or hating someone or blaming someone. No, it's we deserve what is happening, because we don't know our karma in our past life, or we don't know what we did before. So everything what is happening to us is how to say it, it's just meant for us, because that's how the law of karma is very strict. Actually, yeah, whatever it is, we it's hard to accept, but whatever it is, we deserved it actually, because of our very unique and complex desires. So from here in 29, O Brahmanas, the king's anger and envy direct toward the Brahmana sage were unprecedented, being that circumstances had made him hungry and thirsty. So again, that hungry and thirsty is it's just arrangement of the Lord. Actually, the king is not a wishy-washy fella that even that kind of fasting he can do that. He can do that. He can ang tawag doon, kaya niyang tiisin. Anyway, naintindihan niyo na, kaya niyang tiisin. Tapos yeah, and uh, the king knew well that the Brahmanas, sage, children, women, and old men are always beyond the jurisdiction of punishment. Yes, kaya niya, he can tolerate those kinds of thirsty and hunger. Thank you very much. And similarly, the king, even though he commits a great mistake, is never to be considered a wrongdoer. But but in this case, Maharaj Pariksit was very angry and envious at the sage due to his thirst and hunger. By the will of the Lord, the king was right to punish the subject for coldly receiving him or neglecting him. Anyway, again, we may say that it's very exaggerated to get to for the king to get angry, and also it's arrangement again. But what is another arrangement? Have you remember when Maharaj Pariksit he gave a place for the personification of Kali? He will go to the prostitution, the to the meat eating thing and all, the gambling and what else? The intoxication. But also he gave the shelter for the personification of Kali where in a gold, and a king is wearing a golden crown. And as you know, if you're connected with that golden crown, especially on your head, yes, the personification of Kali, that's the transition entered in the mind of how to say Maharaj Pariksit. As you know, those who are devotee or practitioner who are very fond of stone, the precious stone, when you put in the ring, must be especially your how to say your birthstone. When you put in the ring, must be connected on your skin. So when the sunshine reflects on that stone, it has a good and healthy how to say effect on our body. That's the purpose of that birthstone, to be put in the ring, and then the tip of that stone, that precious stone, is connected to our skin. So you'll be benefited on that, as they heard, as they said. So here on the yeah on text 30, while leaving, the king, being so insulted, picked up a lifeless snake with his bow and angrily placed it on the shoulder of the sage. Then he returned to his palace. Hare Krishna. As we can see, everything, every ingredient is there. Even that dead snake is happened to be there by the arrangement of the Lord again. So it's yeah, Maharaj Pariksit is like being insulted, but he's thinking that, oh, you didn't receive me with garland and all. I will not do that to you. Anyway, I will give you a garland, but a garland of a dead snake. And that is a kind of insult also to that rishi. So I'm not that of that kind of behavior to you. So but anyway, I will give you a garland. So that's the thing. He gave the garland to the sages to the sage Tamika Rishi, and then just left, returned to his palace. Now, 31. Upon returning, he began to contemplate and argue within himself whether the sage had actually been in meditation with sense of concentration and eyes closed, or when he had just been feigning trance just to avoid receiving a lower satria. So there's a lot of mumbling in his mind. Ano yun? Dadalawang isip. Twice thinking. Yeah. So, yeah. Upon returning, this this is the meditation of a devotee of Krishna, actually. Yeah. second thoughts. Thank you very much. So this is the how to say it, the meditation of Maharaj Pariksit, or a pure devotee or a devotee of Krishna, that most of the time when they did something, uh, when they did something unusual, they want to naturally they want to repent, and they he himself, as it says here in the translation, upon returning he began contemplating. He himself, he did not approve what he did actually, but anyway he did because of that the the influence of Kali from that gold, yeah, entering in his head and all. So yeah, anyway he did, and that is also an arrangement that um, what I mean is, most of the devotee, even though they did some mistake, uh, they they who how to say, they made it half-heartedly. They don't want, but at, still somehow, as how to say it, a practitioner, or just a normal practitioner, still we are um, influenced by the modes of by the modes of material nature, the goodness, passion, and ignorance. So sometimes, or there's a lot of times, we are being carried away, and the moment we say the wrong word, the not supposed to say, and anyway we already uh, throw it out, then later on we'll realize that, oh, I did a mistake. So that's why us, we are trying to practice the austerity of speech. Austerity of speech is not doesn't mean that we will not speak on whatever in our heart. No, we will just trying to, how to say, trying to speak what is only beneficial for others. And even we are angry, the moment we are angry, if we really want to uh, correct that person, we will not destroy him. We will not smash him and all. We may give some uh, how to say, good suggestion, or just saying the mistake, but not angry, or not hate the sinner, as they said. So we just hate the sin. Meaning, because if we criticize someone, it must be like constructive criticism. Otherwise, that someone on the opposite side will just see our anger, even how good our word it is, but with the tone of all angry and all, they will not see it as a care. They will see it, you're just angry, you want to destroy me, and I will not, I may not get the lesson on the good words what you say. So it's basically it's nonsense. What happened is just anger and bursting and all. But even if we are angry, we try to construct, as they said, even that delay, you're thinking how to say it to that person. That delay is a big thing. You know, there are times that when you email to Guru Maharaj and all, and then like they said 10 times you read it before you send it. Especially when our emotion or angry or anything. No, it just not only to Guru Maharaj, but to someone, you read it more than more than 10 times before you send it. So you can edit it because at the moment of your emotion, we cannot decide, as they said, we cannot decide permanent decision to a temporary emotion, as they said. So that's the thing. So yeah, most of the time when we are in the mode of anger, that is a mode of ignorance, we may say a lot of things that it's not supposed to say. Then after all, we cannot get it back. So be calm, always think, delay your emotion, delay your words comes out on your mouth, and then be always a well wisher to someone, even though we are angry. And yes, it's natural to be angry actually, but we can use that anger to a right how to say it, right moment. Just like Arjuna uses anger in fighting for Krishna, and Hanuman uses anger to save or to help Lord Ram. So yeah, anger can be used also, and especially when the devotee is in danger, to use that anger for the devotee to protect our devotees and the Lord, like the deities and all. So yeah, I think that's it for now. And thank you very much.
Haribol, that's a very wonderful points. Navadip Chandra Prabhu, you mentioned one thing that struck me is when a devotee did something wrong, immediately he will think of it. So that's our practice. We want to always have that realization, um, and the time when we did something very short, because sometimes people realize that they did something wrong, they did something bad after years and years and all, and a lot of things happen already in between. And that's very important. Much more is before one does anything, especially if we have emotion, like especially here in the Philippines, people are in the ocean of emotion. Everyone's so sensitive. Everyone is so, I don't know, because of the media, because of the colonization, because of, maybe it is just like that. But the advice of Navadip Chandra Prabhu, if you want to respond, don't react. If you want to respond, you can delay. It's not bad. That delay, that time of delay, we can have our second thoughts, and we could also polish the words that will come out of our mouth, so that the situation will not become worse. It is just like when you're trying to attend some fire in your house. You must think: are you pouring water or are you pouring gas? So into a situation, we must always think: are we pouring gas or are we gonna pour water? You will get a lot of wisdom from Navadip Chandra Prabhu, I tell you. Text number 32. The sage had a son who was very powerful. Being a Brahmana's son, the sage had a son who was very powerful, being a Brahmana's son. While he was playing with inexperienced boys, he heard of his father's distress, which was occasioned by the king. Then and there, the boy spoke as follows. So the Shamika Rishi had a son, and he heard the news that King Pariksit went to their hermitage and garlanded Shamika Rishi with a dead snake. This Brahmana boy is very powerful. And thus he spoke. The Brahma's son Shringi said, "Oh, just look at the scenes of the rulers who, like crows and watchdogs at the door, perpetrate sins against their masters, contrary to the principles governing servants." So, Maharaj Pariksit was victimized by the gold in his crown as the shelter of Kali. So he was puffed up at that moment, thinking that he was not received well, and thought of putting garland of snake to this rishi, to this Samika rishi. And also, there's one perfect arrangement by Krishna. This Brahmana boy, because of having association also with the inexperienced boys, cultivated hatred because of what he have heard. He is the first victim of Brahminical injustice. This is Maharaj Pariksit, and the Brahmana was the first victim also of hatred because of the influence of Kali Yuga. This is the start of Kali Yuga. The Brahmanas are giving curses, inappropriate curses. Here in the text number 33, what Shringi mentioned, he addressed the ruler, Emperor Pariksit, as crows and watchdogs. That's very harsh. See, he didn't use the Navadip Chandra's technique. He didn't pause for a while. He reacted. You should be in that moment, Navadip Chandra, if I went. Hold on and talk to that kid, no? Hold your horses, Shringi. First of all, always think twice and meditate on your words before it comes out of your mouth. The Brahmanas are considered the head and brain of the social body. The Kshatriyas are the arms. But the Kshatriyas should work based on the head. The arms will move because the mind tells them. The leaders have Brahmanas or saintly advisors. That's the ideal. So they always seek advice to the Brahmanas and they execute. So here, the Brahmanas is puff up, proud. Puff up is the jargon of ISKCON. I was trying to make this puff up word terminology as a title for today, but I was searching in Google. It's not really like a dictionary word. This is just like a jargon for ISKCON. Puff up means like your head becomes big because of false ego, because of power, because of position, and also like Shingri, thinking that he is higher, like the caste system, he's higher than the Kshatriya. He's saying this crows and watchdog, and he is actually a servant, and the master is the Brahmana. So having that puff up mentality is an arrangement of Krishna, of course. But the arms must act according to the directions of the head and brain. So these are the four social orders: the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras, and they should actually work together, not just work independently and whimsically and elevate themselves, their social orders only. No, they have to work. This is social order. The head should work, the arms should work, the foot should work. So different function, very unique, but they have to work in one purpose. That is, of course, dharmic activities, Krishna consciousness. Actually, well, it was here in the text number 4. It is in text 34. The descendants of the kingly orders are definitely designated as watchdogs, and they must keep themselves at the door. On what grounds can dogs enter the house and claim to dine with the master on the same place? This is still Shringi saying. See, when one doesn't introspect first, out of emotion, out of anger, he will burst out into harmful, harsh words. Harsh words is the verbal representation of anger, of an emotion. And if one is not controlling his own anger, it might come out as violence in action or harsh words. The inexperienced Brahmana boy certainly knew that the king asked for water from his father and the father did not respond. So, especially when one is biased, not neutral into the situation, he always take to the side of like relatives or same country or friends. They don't see the real situation. They right away take sides in the situation, in the scenario, and never heard or thought of the other side. So this is a big lesson for us to always open our minds on the situation, on the people in the other end. And this actually is what is the yes, this mentality of false prestige is the cause of downfall of the perfect social order. And also it was experienced by Shringi, and this is actually the symbol of the a sign of the downfall of the um, whole society because of the start of the Kali. According to the boy's opinion, the king was on the wrong side and not his father, and thus he justified his silent father. So this justification, this taking on side if there is a conflict between um, other people, much more if you have some friends on one side, you will take sides for sure. And the watchdog, the kings are actually what you call considered as watchdog because they protect everyone. The arms protect the whole body. But to address the king as watchdog is very offensive. Text 35. After the departure of Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, and supreme ruler of everyone, these upstarts have flourished, our protector being gone. Therefore, I myself shall take up this matter and punish them. Just witness my power. What a puff of kid. Of course, he's just playing a role. Arrangement by Krishna. But thinking, okay, since Krishna is gone, I must take over. I must punish him. Thinking he's a Brahmana. The Brahmana doesn't do this punishment. The Kshatriyas could do that, but of course, with the guidance of a Brahmana. But this, just witness my power. The inexperienced Brahmana puffed up by a little Brahma Tejas became influenced by the spell of Kali Yuga. So people are like this: little power, little fame, little money. It will be, they will be changed. Like you will meet a person, they became rich, and then they will be suddenly proud, not talking to you anymore. They went to America for 3 months and they came here, they cannot speak Tagalog. Uh huh. Uh huh. Yes. Because of that small experience, they will forget, they will be proud, and they will discriminate, they will be offensive. We shouldn't be victim of this. What more if one has the real power, the real position? Pride comes before the downfall. And this is actually um, personality of Kali, who is taking the opportunity to reign through the Brahmana boy, the king who wore the golden crown, also garlanded Samika Rishi. So this is very much how do you call it? Like really perfect. The scenario, the timing, the emotion, just like a perfect arrangement for Krishna. We will experience this kind of perfect arrangement of Krishna. But we must always be Krishna conscious to realize, okay, Krishna is putting me into a situation that I will learn and realize something. And we should pray to Krishna. Krishna, not like what Navadip Chandra is emphasizing, not a blade of grass moves without your sanction. What do you want me to realize in this situation? We should always put ourselves in humble position. In that way, we would not be a victim of what's happening, rather a witness and also a person to experience and learn. So learnings and realizations comes not just in good situation. Most of the time we learn from this kind of situation. And when the time comes in the future, we could connect the dots. Oh, this thing happened because this thing will come. You know, like the lovers, their words always like, oh, I experienced a lot of heartbreaks, so I will meet you. So just like that, you will meet Krishna and his devotees and a lot of arrangement for us to realize whatever we are experiencing now is always Krishna's arrangement, a humbling experience, and an opportunity to realize a lot of Krishna conscious learnings. But it is not easy if we don't have the association, the guidance of a teacher, and of course, the guidance of those who are, the guidance of the scriptures, these three. It will help us to realize. Thank you very much, my dear ones. I hope you had the perfect arrangement today, and you will have much more perfect arrangement every day, every time. I'll see you again tomorrow for our Japa and the Srimad Bhagavatam study. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Kali Yuga Dharma Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Please finish your rounds today. Thank you very much. Chandrika Radha Mataji, Levi Jonah, Moksha Lakshmi Mataji, Nikita, Veronica, Rolly, McCoy, Oliver, Paolo, RJ, Riza, and those who are watching here in Facebook Live, and those who will watch us in our recordings. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Navadip Chandrabu, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Good morning.